Hello and welcome to this episode of CloudBites Conversations, where we're really lucky to have Todd Halfpenny joining us. Todd was genuinely the first name I thought of when I thought about creating this podcast and the types of conversations I wanted to have. So really excited to have this episode, really excited to have Todd here. So welcome to the show, Todd.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much for having me. I mean, those words just, I don't know if you can see, but I'm blushing terribly now. It doesn't work well with ginger hair either, blushing. So, yeah, apologies.
It's either that or the fact that just off camera, like before we have just re-recorded this intro as we just started to do it, and Todd's laptop died as I said, "Welcome to the show, Todd." So he's either blushing because I've been nice, or just we were in fits of hysterics just at the brilliant timing of it all.
It could be that. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like being in the world of tech, yet I am so bad with tech. Like I honestly have to ask my missus if I need to print something in the house. I can't work our printer, so maybe it's just that. Yeah.
I had this interesting thing that I was talking to a friend of mine who used to work at Heroku in like a very technical role, and now works on like something to do with vector databases. Yeah, very very smart techie guy. And he was on about getting his son a new laptop for gaming. And he was like, "Do you?" And we were talking about that, and I've got a new M3 MacBook, and I was just saying that when I used to be really into like PC gaming, and like no, I knew what all the specs were and all the specs meant. And I said to him that it just got to this point where I was like, it felt like the world stopped at 3 gigahertz, and I was like, now I have no idea now why my MacBook now is at 3 gigahertz faster than the computer I had 15, 20 years ago at 3 gigahertz. And I know there's like proper scientific reasoning for it behind it, but that was the point at which I realized I was no longer as like techie and nerdy as I thought, because I was just like, and it's got to be something to do with like, I mean, what I just told me, it's caching. It's caching in the DRAM, and the
Of
DRAM and
course
the
it is.
caching work together. Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Paul. You should have come to me. I would have.
Yeah,
No,
the
I've got
bridge.
no idea. No idea.
Yeah, the bridge for the cache and the DRAM means that it's distributed better. Yeah, we'll go with that. So,
Yeah.
Todd, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who you are, what do you do, where you come from.
Okay, cool. I mean, I don't want to bore anyone with the details, but yeah, I'm Todd Halfpenny. I work at a company called Cadify, where we're essentially trying to democratize consumer grade mobile apps for people in the enterprise space, right? And I don't want to harp on too much about it, but if I go and use a consumer app, I know it's going to be brilliant, right? There's no way that anyone's going to deal with a poor customer experience, and I don't feel that enterprise customers are being served in that way. And that's kind of what our company is all about, really, is making sure that if you're having to do a job on your phone for your day job, that it's not hard and it's not janky, and that's kind of that. So I work with them. I have been in tech since I left uni. Went into mobile telecoms as my first job, and I remember my first programming I ever did was with Pascal. In fact, it was Visual Pascal, Delphi. That's what it was, Delphi, in like an evening college class. And the chap there said, "Oh, you're never going to need to know Pascal anyway. This is just to teach you some principles." And then my first job after uni was coding in Pascal. And you would believe, I worked for a mobile telecoms network, and we, the team I were in, looked after the box that basically handled every single SMS that was sent and received from people. And that was written in Pascal, right? Running on old, like,
Probably still is, if we're honest.
Just old tool 386s. And I was like, this is nuts. But it was so wonderfully low and simple that actually the transaction scale wasn't a problem, right? And I then moved on to Erlang programming, all functional and all proper real time stuff. So we're talking milliseconds of that. Everything was critical. It's a different world in enterprise software. I think real time is much larger in these spaces. But yes, I come from a telco background. I was then brought into the Salesforce world without knowing anything about it. And I've been there since 2014, I guess, now. I'd like to say I've embraced the whole ecosystem as much as I can. I mean, that's very much my kind of the person I am. As I love trying to get involved in things. I love speaking to people, especially because you meet people like yourself, Paul, and all the wonderful people in the community.
Very kind.
Oh, you're so welcome. But kind of getting into all that kind of stuff is where I am. What else do you need to know about me? I've got 2 young kids. They're older than they should be. It seems. Yeah, my
do
daughter.
they get older every day as well? It's one of those things, isn't it?
Well, I think my daughter, especially, I think she ages in kind of like dog years, right? She's every day she gets like a week older, and she's already like a real sort of late teenager, but she's not. But that's how it is.
Yeah.
I live down in the southeast of England in a lovely town called Broadstairs. We have beautiful sandy beaches.
It's a very nice town.
I work in my shed here at the end of the garden, which is
for those who are watching rather than listening. Todd is in a shed. It is not an upside down hull he is reclaimed from the beach, nor is it a sauna. He has promised me he is not wearing just a towel below the view.
I mean, I'm not going to be putting the webcam down so people can see below the waist.
You're not going to verify, but yeah, we'll take it on trust. It's okay.
Yeah, please do.
So it's really interesting. You and I should definitely. I mean, next time we have a beer, I'm sure we'll be chatting about a bunch of things. But the telecom stuff is really interesting. So where I've been doing. So my first app I've got launched on the App Exchange is all with like SMS sending and things like that. So love to chat to you about that. I learned Pascal way back when it was my second or third language. I got into programming via Perl, which is just
gateway drug, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, like that's Perl is a gateway drug. It's also like the worst drug to start on because it completely ruins your preconceptions of how anything else should ever be programmed. Because it's like, this is a number, it's a string. This is everything. It's a string. Yeah, Pascal was really good. I loved Pascal and Delphi, and did a lot of stuff with that as a younger person. And then Erlang. I didn't know you were an Erlanger. I have this concurrent systems blow my mind. Like I would love to sit there and write some Erlang. I was do you know Fireship? It's a really Have you seen like? So I watched his little video the other day about Erlang in 100 seconds.
No, I haven't seen.
For those that have gone on to the CloudBites TV YouTube channel, the Salesforce in 100 seconds thing is completely a Salesforce version of that because I love those videos he does. But he does one which is Erlang in 100 seconds, and I've got a book somewhere on like different. I think it's an ebook. I don't know why I'm looking around for an ebook. In the clouds for like, and it's all on like different concurrency models, and I'd love to have the time to sit down and do it because concurrent programming to me seems like you're purposely choosing to do the worst parts of like web programming. The worst part of web programming is async and await and figuring out when you've got data. And concurrent programming just seems like you're purposely going, I want to deal with that issue.
I'm going right into this space, right?
What I'm going to do is I'm even going to make it so that I'm purposely going to have things become that issue, but then equally you just get this kind of coordinated magic. It's blows my mind.
Oh, and now we've got my dog shouting because I think it's the kids' home. So apologies if you can hear my small sausage
it's fine.
Shouting in the background. Erlang is quite amazing. So I went from Pascal and then into this team with Erlang developers, and my boss there, heading the Erlang team, absolute genius. Like he could code faster than any person I've ever met before or since then, and his brain worked in this incredibly kind of conceptual way that as soon as something you started posing a question, it was already going through, but in this kind of weird Erlang-y functional kind of way as well. And I first looked at some of this code because I was completely fresh in, and it took me, I'd say it probably took me well over a year to really grasp the powers of Erlang and functional programming as a whole, actually, and concurrent programming. But it's phenomenal. But the whole idea was that you could inject new code into a running transaction. So it was all about having zero downtime, right? In telecoms, you can't say, "Oh, we're just going to turn off phones for a thing." I mean, I did once kick off 250,000 mobile internet subscribers because you know what change is like at 3 o'clock on the 3 o'clock on a Monday morning, when that's when you push stuff live in telecoms, and I accidentally kicked off 250,000 subscribers from the internet. But in normal running world,
fine.
You could throw new code in and like into existing transactions, and that was like incredibly powerful. I went from that into into the world of Salesforce and enterprise.
So you've gone from doing something really, really like what I'm going to call genius level clever to, and this is no shade to our fellow Salesforce developers, but concurrent programming systems for telecoms use cases where you're injecting code in real time. To let's see about how we write a trigger that updates some opportunity records.
I mean, completely different worlds, but completely different problems as well. And to be really fair, and I mean, I can't say that I wasn't incredibly happy when the move to like more client-based programming occurred. So the introduction of Lightning and stuff, I don't quite know where I'm going with this conversation. We were doing an introduction, but I'm really pleased to see the availability of like standard web technology, web APIs available to Salesforce developers who have had, I guess, kind of and for understandable reasons, kind of guardrails around for so long, and now we're able to use like these open web APIs. So the day they get launched, you can use these things, and that's such a shift, I think, and it's only going to benefit. Really, it's only going to benefit customers, and you end users are now able to say, "Oh, do you know what? I'm used to this stuff in." As I said about Cadify, really, stuff that you use in a consumer world, being able to use it in an enterprise kind of setting is, I think, really going to be benefiting for customers. But
no, definitely. I think I'm as a long-time Salesforce developer, I am being facetious that obviously everything we do is just stupid and silly and helping people close opportunities. There was a really interesting post a while ago that and I'm gonna give credit to this for this to Stephen Herod, because I'm pretty sure it was him. But he said that he was talking about how Salesforce developers and Salesforce architects do that thing that I've just done of being like, sort of downplaying what we do and be like, we're just doing some point and click and that's about it. And and he was saying that most Salesforce instances have a greater degree of complexity than an app like, it was Twitter he was using at the time, than Twitter, but that Twitter has a greater degree of technical scaling complexity for its programmers that we don't have, because the point he was trying to make that I'm really badly articulating was that complexity comes in different forms. Like having to sit down with a user who has this 38-step sales process that does all these things is a different problem to be like, I've posted a message, can you see it? But I need it to be seen by 80 million people.
Yeah, completely. They're apples and pears, and you're right. The complexity is probably just as grand, but it is coming in a different shape and size and things. No, you're right. But I mean, also, so being British, you're going to downplay everything you do anyway, right? That's kind of how we go.
Yes. Oh, definitely. So with the functional programming thing as well, just to wrap up on that, I'm going to put a link in the show notes to my favorite programming video of all time, which is, and again, I'm going to destroy the history of this and everything in it, so forgive me, but it was a video at one of the Ruby conferences of using Ruby as a functional language to build out a Fibonacci generator, but writing it and refactoring it in real time, so it became a single function.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
So like and for those who are listening to the podcast who aren't like super nerds like Todd and I and really into the techie stuff, watch it. It's still very, very interesting and worth doing. And functional programming is a different paradigm for techie people. Go and watch it because it'll blow your mind. You're gonna have to watch it 4 times to understand it. So yeah, so you kind of hit on this already, that you kind of made your way into the Salesforce world and have really embraced the ecosystem. Excuse me for my tickly cough. One of the things that you and I were talking about before we started the recording, that is one of the things I find most interesting about Todd as a person, is you are extremely well known and extremely integrated into the Salesforce ecosystem. But, and I'm going to choose my words terribly here, so forgive me, but you're not really a Salesforce developer or architect or admin, are you? You kind of work in this space, you kind of work against, not against it, but like, against as in alongside Salesforce rather than on it. Would that be kind of fair?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So my day job, really, I don't program. In fact, I don't think any of my Apex or Visualforce or LWCs exist in any kind of production environment, right? That's not my job. So when we're building mobile apps, we're obviously we're off platform. We have a whole platform piece, but we have a platform team to do that, right? I'm more focused on the mobile side, so we're calling APIs, and I guess more often than not, if I'd be coding in on a kind of work day, then it would be in JavaScript, TypeScript, kind of that kind of area, whether it's for Node or mobile application code or whatever. I do though have, Paul. We spoke about books.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. For those who can't see, this is the Mastering Apex Programming by, what's this guy?
No idea. Don't believe a word he says.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I have both of you. So these are here because I had realised that I don't have the PD1 cert, and and I feel that being a so one of the things I do is I'm one of the co-leads for the London Salesforce Developer User Group, Trailblook, and I feel I should probably. I mean, we're all about imposter syndrome in this crazy ecosystem. In fact, not just this ecosystem, lots of ecosystems. No. But it does hit me. And I did think maybe I should get the PD1, so at least I can fill out a bit of the knowledge that I've gained from just talking about things and hearing about things and doing my trailheads, kind of just a bit more. I know that there are some people have different views on certifications in the Salesforce world. Some people just like to do them because they like to learn and they like to get the badge. Some people use them because they're like, oh, I've got a project coming up, this would be valuable for me. Some people use them because they could be tools for employment, I guess. For me, I just think it would be quite a good thing for, like, probably in the first camp, it would be a good thing for me to do and to have. But yeah, so I've still got paper books here in my office, Paul, that are out on my desk.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've got a pile here of just the books that I'm going through for the book reviews. They're all also, I find paper just easier for taking notes and things on. It's funny, like when you say about the certificates and imposter syndrome and things like that. Way back when before we have this wonderful architect pyramid thing that we have going on now, and in a previous life when I was trying to kind of become more established as a technical architect, and that was kind of the job route I was going down. And I was going for the Salesforce CTA, where it was the old system. So you had a single exam, like a 3-hour beast of an exam,
right?
That encompassed effectively all of those, like like the sharing of visibility and identity ones and all of those.
Yes,
one big exam that had all of them. Yeah, it was in one exam, and then you had the review board, and the review board was. I caught up with one of the guys. I actually bumped into one of the guys who did my review board a few years later. And he was like, "You were that close, but you just didn't know about." There was like 3 things I got failed on, and one of them was like a stupid wording error. One was because I didn't know there was a Salesforce product for a thing, and it was like because I was working in like a regulated industry, that product couldn't be used, so I just ignored it for years. But anyway, but the kind of funny part of this story was that. I had passed my architect exam and was lining up to do the review board before I got my admin cert.
Well,
See,
I mean,
so like it's all just like it just doesn't, like, none
no,
of it makes sense. It's
no. And the
all
admin,
everything. So
I find the admin exams. I mean, I can't imagine being someone taking it now. So I do have my admin set. I do have an admin set, and that was really because I wanted to have a broader idea of the platform, and that's why I attend the admin group quite regularly, is because they really kind of cover a lot of the ecosystem, whether it's tech side and things. But I found it, studying for it, I was like, God, there's so much about the platform I literally had no idea about before I started studying. And I can't imagine what it's like for people now doing it, because as with all of tech, it's all moving very quickly. And actually the size of Salesforce and its kind of like its vastness is just being, the scope. That's the word, the scope. I mean, I hate talking about scope. I hate talking about scope.
When my first set of release notes, when I started doing Salesforce, they just announced this thing called Service Cloud, like the release before. Like, and so like it was, like Service Cloud was a thing, but it was really, really new. I know thankfully I've had, I've not had too hard a paper round, so I can hopefully not look like the terrible haggard age. This is why I say to people, like, it was so easy. People ask me like about sort of how I got involved in writing blogs, and I said to them, like, it was because when I was first doing it, like the bleeding edge was everywhere. Like you literally sort of looked over the edge of Salesforce very, very quickly. I was working with Andy Fawcett was my boss at the time, and we were doing some work with custom settings before they kind of were fully released. And we got a pre-release version of it. And I remember just like loading a bunch of data in there for some tax test we were doing, and got a phone call from one of the team in San Francisco being like, "Hi, Paul, what are you doing? Like you melted." I was doing this, and they were like, "Yeah, we didn't realize you were doing that much data in it. We need to have it. Like, can we just clear this out because you're like making a server cry a little bit?" It's just we're on some sort of special pre-release. Yeah, it's long. Long enough ago now that I think statute of limitations is passed on sharing that story. But yeah, it was absolutely bad. But that was the thing. Everywhere was the bleeding edge. Like you could, it was made it easy to write blogs about cool new stuff because everything was cool and new. So with that, then, where you were saying about like not being your day. So why have you? And this is meant to sound as pointed as perhaps I was going to. Why have you embraced the Salesforce ecosystem so much then, Todd? If it's not like your day-to-day thing, and aside, I thought your primary reason for attending the admin group was that they always put on a good spread, and I thought your primary reason for attending the developer group was that you got to choose the beer and pizza now. But like, why have you embraced the ecosystem and the Ohana so much then? If it's not your primary domain,
I guess that, I mean, it's a really good question actually, and
why are you here, Todd? Why are you still around?
Why on earth am I here? So part of my, I think part of the way I learned. So I very first, when I first joined, my brother said to me, he's my boss. He said, "Oh, there's a developer group in London for Salesforce. That would be a good way to like begin to learn." Because like I said, I had zero Salesforce knowledge, and I'd already kind of been going to a few tech meets that just because I wanted, not because I was doing anything with them. So I was attending some early JavaScript meets in London. I was going to WordPress meets and conferences just because I enjoy tech, and these places are where you go and you get to chat to people about tech. And they're normally the same kind of people. When people say like you gravitate to people who are similar to you, and this was like kind of way of making it easier to meet people that kind of have a similar kind of interests as me. And so I've been to these things. And when he said there was a Salesforce developer, and I was like, cool, yeah, I'll definitely go to that. And these, I guess it's that kind of community environment where people are there, and they might be direct competitors, right? You had multiple consultancies there. One of them was sharing how they were solving this difficult problem, and they weren't overly concerned that the other two consultancies were also now learning this. and you had developers sharing how they were doing things that might be kind of, I guess, might be their IP, if you know what I mean. But people are really happy to share, and with that kind of that sharing, you get the community, and then you build up a network, which can be used for all sorts of things. For me, it was just for learning at the time, and then I guess that's why I went to the admin meet, because I was like trying to control our technical side of our product, but I didn't want us building things that already existed. I didn't want us building things that weren't going to fulfill a customer's needs, or I wanted to build things that would work with the rest of the platform, look like the rest of the platform, and meant everybody was happy, right? And so I went to the admin meet, that kind of thing. The admin meet and the developer meet are very different spaces, full of quite different people. I think I kind of fit quite nicely into the middle, but the developer meet was very, at the time at least, was very much, we all go down, we sit around, we watch a couple of people talk about some stuff, we have some beer and pizza, and we chat to each other. The admin meet was, I mean, I think it's fair to say they're more extroverts in an admin role, I believe, from my own personal perception. This could be completely wrong, but we were there, and the first thing they said, right, get into groups now, and then you can present to the rest of the thing. And I was like, I can't imagine being one of the more introverted developers going, I'm not going to present in front of all these other people. But I mean, the developer group at the time was run by, so Francis Pinder, I think, was there. Is it Mike Gill?
Mike Gill. And was it...
And Amanda Bid Nelson. I think.
Was she running the developer group? I thought she was running the admin group.
Oh, the admin group. So
yeah, it was Mike, Amanda, and Francis doing the admin group.
Yeah, I think so. And I was there, and that was the time. I mean, and they were just like, that was an eye opener on how to do really good user groups, right? From then, and still to this day, I kind of hold them as, that's why I'd like our developer group to be able to kind of have this engagement. What was the question? Community.
No, yeah. So you're saying that's how you kind of got involved, was that you were going along and yeah, it was primarily for learning, but it was just an engaging bunch of people that wanted to have a good chat, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's it. And then kind of if an opportunity came up to help out with the dev group, and I was like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to make sure that this space is available for people, right? A space where you can go and you can learn and you can talk to people, you can ask questions where there are no stupid questions. I think all the user groups are very safe spaces for any type of person in a particular role to go to, and people who are not in that role to go to as well. So if you're a dev, go to an admin group. If you're an architect, go to the dev group. If you're an admin, go to the architect group, right? Because I don't think people are completely settled all the time where they are, and knowing what else is around is amazing. But anyway, so I jumped at the chance to be involved in making sure that the developer group continued, and I could hopefully help kind of make sure that it kept going and bringing things to it.
Yeah, that's cool. So you run it now with, is it you and Amnon, isn't it?
Yes, there are the four leaders. We like to have as many leaders as possible, just because, you know, 1 month to the next, you don't know whether you're going to have all the time to focus on it. But there's four of us. So there's Amnon Akruvi, Kia Bowden, and Sailor Trooper, and myself running the dev group at the moment. I'm sure that will change in coming years, but that's the way it is. But we had a fantastic meet. What's today? Friday today, isn't it? So Wednesday we had a meet, and it was brilliant. And actually, there was a guy came up to me at the end who he's been to several of the meets, and we try really hard to make sure that as organisers we interact with the newcomers as well, right? Make sure they know that, don't just come and sit at the back and then go home, right? If you want to be involved in the group, you can be as much as you want, right? But make sure the opportunity then to know that. And I'd seen this guy a few times, but he'd always been fairly quiet. So I thought, I'll go and have a chat with him. And I was like, how are you doing? How did you find the evening? What did you think? And he went, do you know what? I love this group. and it was weird because looking at him as an organizer, I was like, is this guy actually enjoying it? Is he being forced to come by his boss? But he
Yeah.
no, I love it. I love all the talks, and the whole vibe of the community event is exactly what he's after. And I was like, oh, thank God for that. Like, I thought he was being forced to sit through this, but he loved it.
So
And
it was like a secret shopper from Salesforce just being there, be like, oh,
yeah. I mean,
this,
we can see the secret shoppers from Salesforce right there.
yeah. 10 pence Todd has upset us all again. Yeah, it's a
that's Louise Lockie. She's, I mean, and sorry,
was it? So it's 10 cents, wasn't it? Not 10 pence.
Yeah, 10 cents
Was it?
Todd. Yeah.
Todd.
I want a quick shout out for the London Women in Tech group. I mean, we have so many groups in London. I think there's like 11, including I mean, there's the group
Marketing Cloud.
Yeah. ISV, contractor, non-profit, gov, architect. There's so many. But Louise's Women in Tech group is the absolute pinnacle of a user group. I mean, she's the running the gold star of community events as far as I can. So if you're a lady working in tech in around London, check out that group for sure. Yeah.
Okay, definitely. Yeah, that's a good tip. Yeah, Louise is a superstar. Louise has been and will continue to be, I'm sure, just one of those people that absolutely nails just being awesome for the community.
All of it.
Yeah. It's one of the things I have to say that like I'm always really impressed by that always really impresses me in particular about the London. I'm going to say the developer group is having previously run the Leeds developer group, which isn't running anymore. It's so hard to to get people along, but more importantly to get that cadence. I think London is quite lucky that it's quite a self-contained thing where people can get in after work for like 10, 15 minutes. And I think there's also a slightly different culture in London about kind of where people travel in and out. They're not so worried about having like an extra half hour to go for a drink or whatever, or go to a meeting. In Leeds, kind of one of the things that was always a struggle for us was sort of doing a regular set. We did one where we did like 3 or 4, 5 months in a row, and there was like 2 or 3 meetings in a row where there was like me and the other co-organizer, and like we bring ideas, we bring things to it. Like when you get 3 or 4 people, it's really hard. So I know that you guys have got sort of 50, 60, 70 attendees, but I have to, just want to really give you all the kind of the credit you deserve for A, building it, and B, maintaining it, because it's a real shining pillar of kind of what a community group should be. And as someone who's been to a lot of them and spoken at a few of them, and always tries to come along if I can, they're a great set of groups. So congratulations to you and all of the other organisers of the London groups.
Yeah, well, I'll extend that to everyone. But like you said, I think we're extremely lucky in London to not only have a number of companies who will offer up venues and hosting and sponsorship, but the vast amount of people that are there. To do what you were doing, and I guess other groups all around the country and all around the globe actually, where you don't have quite that. I kind of that's like Salesforce hub organically there for you to pull from. It can only be really hard. So yeah, kudos to you all for putting ours in there.
It was there was a certain amount of I'm a fairly kind of positive guy in most areas and like say yes to most things, but like I'll be honest, that the reason we kind of wound that group up was after 3 events in a row of it just being people promising they'd come and it just being 2 of us that would show up or maybe a third person. I was like, nah, it's other ways of engaging with people. Anyway, so that's the developer group, and then obviously you're involved with London's Calling as well. You're one of the shining starlets of London's Calling. I mean, are you obviously Francis is the good looks, and so does that make? Sorry, Francis. Does that make my favourite? Just as an aside story, there was one of my favourite things that has ever happened is me and Francis were at Dreamforce together one year, and they have the high tables where you just kind of like lean up and have a chat.
Yeah.
And we're having a chat, and this guy has wandered over to the pair of wandering past the pair of us. We're just nattering away about whatever nonsense Francis and I were talking about. And this guy's kind of done this and wandered past and stopped and double taked at the pair of us. And Francis and I, without missing a beat, have both looked behind us thinking, what's up with this guy? And then he's come over and said, can I have a picture with you two? And then we've both done the same thing again of just looking behind us and said, who's he talking to? And it was a
I mean, you're a superstar in your own right. I mean, I feel like I should probably be interviewing you, right? I mean, we should get onto some of your history. We could talk forever, right?
No, this is not the Paul show. This is all about Todd, but it was more with so with London School. So Francis is obviously the good looks to balance that with me. So yeah, how did you get involved with London Schooling? And because there's another one coming up, and I'm going to get the date wrong, but I think it's June.
19th of July this year.
19th of July. I bought a ticket. Okay, it's in my diary. I bought a ticket, but so tell us about how you got involved with that, and
it's like, and I guess this is kind of, it comes back to the same thing about all of my life within this kind of ecosystem, is just kind of trying to get involved in bits and pieces, and then actually when you start looking, sort of doors open and opportunities open, right? So if you just sit back and do nothing happens. And like with the dev group, very similar story. So with London's Calling, I think the first year I'd applied to speak. So I was just trying to get into public speaking at that time. I think I'd spoken twice at the developer group in London, I think maybe, and I thought this will be good for myself in terms of, I never had really done any public speaking. I thought this is a good thing I'd like to be more comfortable with. So why not? I felt I had some things I could share, which is always important. I thought, why not give it a go? Everyone's going to be nice there. And so I spoke at the first London's Calling, and then I think it was a couple of hundred people event. I was pleased that anyone turned up into the room to see me. Yep. And it was extraordinary. And then Francis, I think it was Francis, approached me over the next year period at some point and said, oh, do you fancy helping out with the next one? And I said, yeah, of course. Like, why couldn't I? Like, London's Calling was a phenomenal event in its first year. A whole day of sessions on all sorts of all sorts of topics around the ecosystem, and then a party and chatting with people that you're either gonna or really people you could get to know very easily and would have lots in common with. And I was like, yeah, of course I want to get involved. And so I think it was the second year that I became an official co-organiser. It might be the third. I think it was the second one. But anyway, this is our ninth year coming up now. Which is amazing, and the conference has just grown. For those who don't know, London's Calling is an annual community-led Salesforce event held in London, and we have, I think last year it was something like 65 sessions covering dev topics, admin topics, architect, martech, career. I mean, as we were saying earlier, Salesforce has exploded in its reach, and so we try and cater for that. And we have a party and at the end, and we feed you lunch and a good chin wag and all that kind of stuff as well.
It's my only definitive one every year. Like the every other event, I haven't been to Dreamforce for 3 or 4 years now. I mean, partly there was the COVID thing, but even for the 2 or so years after it's been around, I just haven't been for ages because it's just, I find Dreamforce almost overpowering now. And I might need to go back and give it another try and see. But I went sort of 5-6 years in a row, and I think by the 6th year I was just like, okay,
you're done.
Yeah. But London's Calling.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, different kind of events. But London's Calling is the only event that every year I'm like, oh, I'm going to that. I think I've missed 2, and I think one of them was because of. One of them was the COVID year where I ended up actually going and attending virtually because I'd said no because I was going to be a best man at a wedding, and then the wedding got cancelled because of COVID.
Yeah. Oh, I'd say that's your. I mean, we marked on the calendar. You've got this big black dot on our calendar of when Paul didn't come to London.
Yeah. There was a period where it was. I think it's Louise and I probably still hold joint record for number of events. Maybe I think you or Chitta might be there with us now as well.
It's
But
Peter
like number of
Chittum, yeah,
events actually spoken at. Yeah, I
yeah.
think Chittum might have taken the lead now. But Peter Chittum, he was a former developer evangelist at Salesforce and all round great guy at he's given some fantastic talks over the years as well. So yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible. And hopefully, I submitted a session this year, so fingers crossed.
Did you?
It shines
Wow.
through and I get on.
Good luck to you. I mean, we're going through at the time of recording, we're going through the speaker submissions now, and we have hundreds, and I mean hundreds of submissions. And I've got to be honest, it's as much. It takes a lot of time to go through them all, but the joy in which I get in seeing, I mean, because we during the how much I can say about it? So we have blind reviews of talks, but seeing their titles and abstracts, and I'm like, God damn, this is going to be an amazing like even if I just take I'm just going to take the first 50, like without even sifting through them, I know there's going to be some absolute stonkers of talks in there. So I'm really excited. And for those who've listening who haven't got your tickets yet, you should head to londonscalling.net and buy a ticket. Even better, you can buy a ticket, and if you can buy a pay it forward ticket, which gives, I think, 20%. I can't remember. It's 20%, £20 to a pot that then gets distributed for people who maybe have financial hardship. Getting places, can get a ticket from there. So yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see everyone at this conference. But tickets will sell out. They have done every year. So do not dilly that.
No, no. I'll stick a link in the show notes. And Todd's point there about paying it forward is, if you can, really do so, because it's I know that I know from kind of conversations with some of the other organisers of different events and of London Schooling that pricing is always a dark art form, because where these things to kind of lift the veil a little bit, but not not kind of give away too much. These community run events aren't paid for by Salesforce. Salesforce don't sit there and say to Todd and the rest of the London Schooling team, hire a venue and get it all set up and going, and if you need any extra money, just let us know. They're kind of a self-funded separate thing that if they don't make enough money, then they can't run effectively. And so if you can find a way of paying it forward to help other people come, they've got to have a ticket price, but if you're fortunate enough that you can afford it, I'd really recommend paying it forward. I know I did this year and I did last year as well. So, it's a little bit, only a small amount extra, but it really helps someone who, maybe can't do that. And, truth be told, it's easily worth every single penny of it. So, definitely. If nothing else, one of the things I like doing at the event is hearing from people which talks I've missed that I need to watch afterwards, which I know sounds really stupid to have like a kind of counterintuitive thing on it, but I like kind of sitting with people at the end and kind of go, oh, what did you go to today? Because let's be frank, I know that of the talks I'll go to, I'll probably end up like someone like Keir, right, who we mentioned earlier on. Like Keir and I will end up in probably 3 or 4 talks sat next to each other, maybe in each other's talks at some point. And so I'll be sat next to him and know what he's getting. But I like chatting to people that I haven't seen in talks throughout the day, and saying to them, oh, what did you go and see today? What did you find useful? What did you like? Because then it gives you a big old list, because you guys record everything and stick it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that you've then got some good stuff, so you don't feel you're missing out as well. It's a really good way of kind of gaining a good follow-up list.
Definitely, and with any of the conferences, really, I don't think I've been to a conference that's got a single track at all. And I know that I've been to many conferences, and then I'm like, oh, there's a clash here, or even if there isn't a clash, you're chatting to someone at lunch, said, oh, I went to this talk, and you were like, oh, I didn't put that on my agenda. Just like maybe the title, the abstract didn't catch me, and then they rave about it, and you're like, oh, brilliant. So yeah, definitely chat to people if they're there and taking their recommendations for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So one of with the paying it forward on the ticket, this kind of segues nicely into one of the reasons that you were kind of the first person I thought of when I was thinking about this, because the idea behind the podcast is, as I've said before, to have conversations with interesting people in and around the Salesforce community, but not to focus on like technology almost. And I know that we spent the first 10 minutes of this talking about Erlang and concurrent systems programming. But what I more mean is that, the idea of this podcast is not to sit there and talk about, the developer podcast and the admin podcast do a great job of talking about features and functionality. What I wanted to do here was allow people to have a conversation where we share interesting things they're doing around that are kind of attached to the ecosystem that personally I find interesting, but in this case I find both interesting and I think does an incredible amount of good, and that is Shirtforce. So for those who aren't watching, Todd and I are both wearing lovely Shirtforce t-shirts. This wasn't planned either as well. We both just rocked up today. We coordinate our wardrobes a lot at events and things, but otherwise, so tell us about how Shirtforce, where did the idea come from? How did it get started?
Okay, I think it's a lovely story. But first of all, for people who don't know, I guess, is what Shirtforce is, right? So as an intro.
People aren't just staring at me and you like waving our torsos around with a t-shirt on. For audio listeners, that is really useless.
If you are just an audio listener, you're going to have to go back, and I don't know what the timestamp is on this, but check out the video anyway, because we're both wearing incredible
45.
T-shirts. I'm wearing a t-shirt that says Salesforce developer's brain, and then there's a kind of schematic of a brain with bits pulled out. And actually, I'd like to pimp if I can. And here there's the good day. Oh, that's a middle finger. There's a Good Day Sir podcast logo in there, which if you don't listen to the Good Day Sir podcast, you're interested in Salesforce, do. And then there's also the SFXD logo down there. So that's the Salesforce Stack Exchange Discord, another community area full of incredible people. But anyway, yes, sorry, complete tangent.
No.
Shirtforce is, I like to think of it as a social enterprise where people from the community, could be anyone, comes up with an idea that they think might look good on a t-shirt, might be hopefully funny, and then we make that into a real t-shirt. People around the world can buy it, and then all of the profits from every single sale goes to a charity. And we've supported, I don't know how many different charities in the past, but they ranged from the Earthquake Relief Fund, was it for Turkey? We've sent money to Ukraine. We've supported cancer research in the UK. We've supported pet rescue charities in the US. We've done all sorts of things. But yes, we basically come up with funny t-shirt designs, flog them, money goes to charity. And also people like Paul and I look incredibly hot on days like this. I mean, Paul says he doesn't wear a Shirtforce t-shirt every day. I pretty much do, because I've
that was really a question I had. Is your wardrobe, like the Bart Simpson wardrobe, how it's just the same? Is yours just Shirtforce every day and that's it? There's no other clothes?
It really is. Yeah, I have, because with a lot of the designs, I'd like to make sure that they're going to look okay, placement and stuff. So I do buy a lot of the t-shirts. I have a couple of stacks in our wardrobe that are Shirtforce, and they're kind of, the sticky labels with the old printer thing. They've got them. So my Shirtforce t-shirts there, and there's far too many of them. Although I have 2 more turning up on Sunday, test prints, which my wife will be livid about.
I say, as long as your wife's happy with the way they look and the cut it gives you, then you're fine. But if she's there constantly, not another one, Todd.
Yeah, I mean, she can buy house plants, which she does very freely, and I'll buy t-shirts, and those are our kind of purchasing price things. But yes, that was Shirtforce. In terms of what it is, how did it start? Well, actually, it started. I went to the London Partner Forum event, which used to be a day before the London World Tour event, run by Salesforce, where ISVs and consulting partners would go along and have some talks and a bit of a networking event and stuff. And I've been to lots of community-led events before, and I'd been to one partner event, and it was really quite stuffy in terms of, I don't mean stuffy, I mean, it was a more formal event. There were shirts and ties and suits and things.
They're business. I've having been to like 7 or 8 of them. They're
Yeah,
like I go down wearing a shirt and trousers or a suit to them because you're talking to. It's AEs and partner management people. It's
it
not
is. It is.
customers and
Yeah,
developers.
that's right. And that's not, that's really not my kind of comfort level zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to go, and I did learn a lot from the events as well as all the networking. But I found it quite hard to have, well, to start conversations. So the second year we went, I mentioned to my brother, can I design us a t-shirt for the event? And he's like, well, it's not really a t-shirt event. I said, well, I think I've got an idea that might be a good kind of icebreaker. So for people to go, oh, I like your t-shirt, and then you can get in conversations. And for me, I'm not a
Yeah.
salesperson, and I thought this might be quite good for me to have conversations with people in that kind of event. And so I came up with a forward-looking statement design for a t-shirt, which I'm sure most of the listeners will know. Salesforce are famous for their forward-looking statement, which is now, I don't know how long, but in 2014 or whatever it was fairly short. And so I came up with a forward-looking statement kind of slide for a t-shirt that said something like, the person you're talking to might have had a beer at the bar, and you'll find that they're really excited about mobile technology. Please don't make any purchasing decisions based
Yeah.
upon the conversations we have with them, right? And I wore that, and the amount of comments I had, the amount of conversations I had was brilliant. Like, people really loved it. And then I was sitting in one particular presentation, and Gemma Blizzard was sitting in front of me, and I didn't know her at the time, and she turned around and said, oh my God, your t-shirt is incredible. I want to buy one. And I was like, I could, do you know what? We could sell t-shirts. And then I thought, well, actually, I don't want to start a t-shirt selling business. I don't want to have to do all of t-shirt selling business
That.
stuff, but I'd like to sell some t-shirts. How can I do it?
Mm.
And I thought, well, actually, if we sell t-shirts and all of the profits go to charity, then that's kind of nice, right? I don't have to get involved in lots of stuff that I might have to.
Yeah.
And so it started, and I created one. I think I had an Astro Says Relax, like
Mm-hmm.
Frankie Says Relax from Frankie
Yeah.
Goes to Hollywood, and that was the first t-shirt came out. And then now we have hundreds of designs up. And then during that, some people approached me, people like Rob Cow from the community. He came out and said, oh, I've got an idea for a t-shirt. Can I create a Shirtforce t-shirt? And I was like, yes, this is even better, right? Even better than me coming up with my crappy designs and ideas and my really poor graphic skills. Get people who know what they're doing, what they're doing with good ideas. And so he created, he's created loads for us now. We have like a Run DML one, his Apex Predator. There's like a Why Admins Drink one. There's all sorts.
Straight out of licenses right behind you.
Straight out of licenses. Yeah, for those you can't
Yep.
see because you're listening, there's a Straight Out of Compton type t-shirt on the side. That's one of my test prints that was wrong, which is why it lives as an ornament, because it doesn't work. So good job I do test prints. Yeah, now we have, I guess we've recruited a team of probably 3 or 4 core, I call them pixel pushers, who are kind of fine tuning the design. So the concept, anyone in the community can come up with a concept. And we've probably had, I don't know, maybe 15 different idea contributors to date, maybe 20. And then we kind of, as a core team, help them make it into a graphical design that comes through. And then, yeah. So if you're listening and you've got an idea for a t-shirt, then do let me know. The only things we can't do is include any mascots or the Salesforce cloud and things, because
there's
every
the normal branding rules apply.
They do indeed, yeah. In the early days, I was really keen on kind of trying to push things. And I kept thinking, oh my God, every mail I got from Salesforce, when you got the Salesforce feature retirement emails. And everyone, I was like, oh, is this a cease and desist? No, it wasn't. We're good. We're still on the right side of the copyright parody law. So we were.
Okay. Salesforce take that thing quite reasonably very seriously. I once when a former partner I was working at, I was the partner liaison, and the marketing team on the website. The Lightning Web Components little blocks. They'd
Yeah.
done that same idea, but taken the Salesforce logo, made it white, and stuck it on one of those blocks. And we got an email from Salesforce saying this is an inappropriate use of our brand. It needs to be removed. It needs to be changed. It's not followed. And I was like, wow. And it is incredible what they must, how they even picked up on it. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, crazy, crazy. So yeah, but
Yeah.
no, the t-shirts. So as someone who has, I think I've got two t-shirts, three t-shirts. I've got the jumper as well, the Christmas jumper, um, as well. I can say they're very comfortable, very nice and soft. Is Teespring, I think you use in the background.
Currently, that's our fulfillment partner. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're looking into all sorts of options, just because, I mean, this is maybe cost of living crisis, at least in the UK.
yeah,
Prices going up, and so we're looking into ways to making them cheaper all the time, whilst like maintaining our
maintaining a
charitable
yeah.
margin. But yeah, currently, I mean, I've got hundreds, and they've all been brilliant for years. I can't believe I've only got 2 or 3. I'm disappointed.
Sorry, yeah, I've only got I had a um I'm the opposite of like this is really off topic and behind the curtain for people. I have a very small set of like t-shirts because I'm not like we had our bedroom redone recently with fitted wardrobes and I have one. And I'm just like I have all the clothes. It was an on running joke for a while that at every community event I used to wear the same shirt, and it was
Oh,
because
really?
it was a blue shirt with a little red logo there, and it was because every picture therefore that was taken of me, I was wearing that. But it also meant that anytime anyone wanted to bump into me or look for me, I looked exactly the same. I could stand that. There's a picture of me in Rad Radkova at one of the London's calling events, in fact, where I am stood in front of a picture of myself on. So I had a picture of myself on the screen because I think I had it as like a desktop background from like a Dreamforce talk, and
Right.
I'm stood in front of that with Rad next to me, and I'm wearing the same shirt, and it's
Brilliant.
just it was like it's
The power
it
of personal
works.
branding.
It's the power of being very very lazy and like sort of afraid of stepping out of one's comfort zone in terms of any sort of clothing. So yeah, no, I do have a couple of t-shirts in the jumper. I should get more really. It's definitely one on that. I said to you, I got a Codebusters t-shirt coming from a different source, but I do like them. So yeah, so that's with the Shirtforce thing. It is one of my favorite stories around the ecosystem because it's so, and I mean this in the politest sense, it's so random. The idea that you sat there being like, Joe, I'm going to create t-shirts and jumpers, and you should really start doing mugs and pads as well and stuff like that. Because I'm sure you could make a killing with people having, not make a killing, make a lot of money for charity. Sorry, this is,
Yeah, yeah.
you can tell I was on a sales call this morning. Make a killing, commercialize it. You could raise a lot of money by selling. Yeah, I would love a mug with some sort of, smaller Salesforce branded item logo on it that's
Oh,
a
well,
bit tongue in cheek.
we do have a couple of mugs. I've got one here, and I'm going to make some noise. Apology for the podcast people, because it's my pen pop, because I dropped it and smashed the handle off. But there's a mug here that can you see that with a
Oh yeah,
lighting?
warning may contains liquid code. Yes.
I mean, that's a coffee mug, right? So, I mean, you're right. We could do so much more. And I had been toying with the idea of a calendar. Do you know, like the kind of, not like get people from the ecosystem to feature. So you could be Mr. February or something like that, Paul. Do you know what I mean? Would that be something?
If you are ever that desperate on ideas, Todd, that you have a calendar featuring me, then like I'll probably like we'll find another way of helping you raise money because
Oh,
no,
well,
no
I
one
mean,
ever need. I wake up every morning and see this face in the mirror. No one else needs to like have that on their calendar.
okay, maybe not you, but maybe other people. I mean, it would be cool, right? You can have list of the community events on there, the
I think
mascots'
community events.
birthdays, summer release. I mean, everyone knows that summer 24 is in pre-release right now, and it's going to be out on May 10th. So, I mean, these are dates that are important. So I thought maybe a calendar. But
Yeah, a calendar could work. I mean, a calendar could work with maybe a learning calendar. Maybe like it's every. Oh, that could be an interesting thing. Is maybe you could do a calendar where every month there's a challenge on it, like a learning challenge. So you could do an admin version, a developer version, an architect version, or whatever
Yeah, yeah,
version
yeah.
where there's a little exercise on there, and kind of that there will be a way of people kind of collaborating and kind of seeing what the outcome is, and even have it send you to a URL or something at the end of it where it goes ta-da.
There we go. Yeah, I think
like
I'll keep the juices flowing. I mean, why not? Yeah, but
no, we could.
I would.
We
I
should.
mean, I'd love your face featured in it somewhere, because. But you'd have
no
to
one
do
needs my
that
face.
shirt, right, with the red dot on it, the red logo dot.
I don't have that shirt anymore. It actually genuinely worn it too much. It's there's a problem where it started to just get a bit frayed around the collar and things, but B also COVID happened, and shall we say that it didn't fit as well as it used to. It's one of those things. This is why we have nice new T-shirts that fit a more appropriate size.
And I was going to say that T-shirt you're wearing is my favorite design. I mean, but the favorite of the designs I've done. Sorry, I mean, I like a lot of the designs that the rest of the team have done more than mine, but this is the favorite of mine. For those that can't see, there's a JSON structure, and the first property is Argonauts.
Yeah,
and then there's an array of names. Yeah,
of the Argonauts. The reason I bought this one was it ticked a couple of boxes for me. Like, number one is that I'm going to say really honestly, I like this one because it's a more generic techie one than a Salesforce one. Not that I have 100% in on Salesforce, but I kind of like the more generic aspect of it, if you know what I mean, because I can go for that same conversational pieces. I could wear this to other developer groups that I've been to, and kind of it worked there as well. Or if I wear it out in public, I've had other people comment on this in real life that are on a train who is a developer. I met a guy who was a developer he was doing React work, and he looked at it, he was like, I really like your T-shirt, where'd you get it? And I told him about it. Yeah. Whereas if it was like a Salesforce one, I feel that I might not have had that same interaction. But it also ticked the little I'm a kind of book nerd, and I really do. It really tickled the little nerdy part of me. It was like, haha, Jason the Argonauts, and I had great delight going downstairs when it arrived, going upstairs and trying it on, and going downstairs to my wife and be like, look, do you know what it is? And her going, it's some code thing, and me going, no, it's a JSON object where there's an array which has the Argonauts in it, so it's JSON Argonauts, and it's sort of. It was yes, for those of us who are of a very nerdy, excitable persuasion, it was a real moment of yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's good. And I think for me, that one really hits that kind of that subtlety, so people can look at it and go, oh yeah, okay, there's a T-shirt, and then there's like because I was sitting around a table with what event? I can't remember what event it was now, but I was sitting around a table with Peter Chittum, who mentioned earlier, a chap called Aidan Harding, who's an incredibly clever dev guy, Rob Bailey, another very incredible tech guy, and I think Vanessa Grant was there, who's an incredible BA within the ecosystem, like making massive waves at the moment. And we were some sort of pre-event thing or something like this. I can't remember now. And I was wearing it, and I was sitting across from, I think it was Aidan and Rob, and I admire them both incredibly for their technical level. And we were there for it must have been like an hour. And then I think it was Aidan went, oh my God, your T-shirt, I get it now. And he must have been kind of subconsciously consuming it for quite a while. And then he got it. And I was like, that's it. That's exactly why I wanted to design that T-shirt.
Yes. Yeah, it is the subtlety really does make this one. It's one of my favorite T-shirts. I do wear this one quite a lot, and I haven't yet had a customer comment or someone comment on a work call. But then again, I suppose it's at this moment you can just see Argonauts and Heracles. So and I don't on many customer calls tend to flaunt my torso at them too much. It's
just stretching.
I charge extra for that. So Shirtforce is amazing. and as I say, it was one of those kind of things that when I was thinking about this podcast was kind of a real driver behind it. And I think one of the things that has come out of, sort of as we've gone through this conversation, one of the things that I think is evident to everyone that's listening and watching is how much you give to the community, despite you not perhaps having so necessarily kind of direct I'm going to say a reason or an outcome for it. And what I mean by that, like, there's one of the things that I find really, really wonderful about you, Todd, is you don't have the same selfish reason that the rest of us have. And what I mean, and this is not to comment about the entire community, but very, very frankly, for like myself, right? I speak at groups and I do things and I share and I write books and all this stuff because I enjoy sharing. But last year, for example, when the company I was at closed down and I was looking for work, it meant that I'd built out a network where I could reach out to people and had people offering me jobs and work to do. So there is always at the end of it, we talked earlier on about people getting certifications for jobs and for things and networking. It's great to meet people, but there is always in the background that slightly, and I'm going to use the word selfish, but it's not meant in a negative way, element of it gives you that backup, to kind of, if you need to reach out to people, you've got a bigger network to fish in. One of the things that is always, I think, really impressive about yourself in particular is that because, as we mentioned, you're not sat there every day being like, I need a Salesforce developer job, or I need a Salesforce architect job, or you're not a Salesforce consulting partner looking for clients and all these things, is that you still do all of this, which is really a fantastic kind of thing and very inspiring. So just want to make sure everyone hears that kudos. And I, not specifically because of that, but because of the way in which you were doing things in general. You were last year or the year before? You'll forgive me because time is a mere construct. But you were awarded with a golden, you were awarded with a golden hoodie, weren't you? Which I'm sure is only ever just out of arm's reach.
So firstly, Paul, they're really lovely words. Thank you. I am blushing again now. And to address that kind of, I guess the you were talking about kind of what you could potentially get personally as a return for doing these things, right? Which is, I guess, how you were classing this selfish reason, all those, the reason I do it because I genuinely love taking part in things, right? So I am getting stuff back, and it's not like I actually genuinely enjoy doing them. So it's that's my return. I cannot say how. Like, I was having I felt in a bit of a funk this week. Like Monday, Tuesday, I felt a bit. I think maybe like we'd had a couple of weeks off with the kids, and they were back to school, and just like things were changing. I felt a bit off, and then I went to the developer meet on Wednesday, and I came home and I was like, do you know what? My cup is full. I'm ready to go again. I got so much energy from just that event. And that's the kind of reason that I do it, I think, because I really enjoy it. I enjoy the learning. I love finding out about things. I especially like hearing about people's own stories. What I would love is for more people to have the level of confidence to go, do you know what? I'm going to talk at an event, like a local user event, because it's really rewarding to do that, I think. But for the people that are listening, it's incredible. Like, they have stories, they have experiences, they have knowledge that I wish would be shared. And so that's kind of what I get from it. But yes, you're right. I did. I was awarded with the golden hoodie at last year's 23's London World Tour event, and that was lovely. That was really quite a humbling experience. It came about. In fact, the first mail I got from it was from the Salesforce marketing team. They came and they put together a film, and they said they want to talk about. They want me to talk about community, and which is kind of what I'm so passionate about. But because it was from them, so Todd, we'd like to have a chat with you about Shirtforce. And that was really a moment I thought, this is a cease and desist conversation from Salesforce marketing. And I was like, oh no, I was racking my brain. Which design have I put out now that's crossed the line? But it wasn't. They wanted.
Do I need my solicitor on the phone call? Yeah.
Yeah, I was genuinely concerned because the first mail was quite, I guess, quite ambiguous about where it was going, where it was going to go. Yeah, and they came back and we put together a wonderful film, which I mean, it's really hard for someone who's not a professional actor or any of this, having a film crew around and watching you do things, and some saying, right, can you just try and eat that chip again but look more pensive? And you're like, what? Or can you pretend to be coding on this laptop looking like you've just received a really good email? And all these things were really foreign to me, but it was an incredible experience. And part of what they asked is if I could have a short interview on stage with Zara at the World Tour, and they wanted to ask me some questions about the community, and I was like, do you know what? I'm 100% in. So events like the World Tour, which are sales events, often I know they have like the community theatres and community speakers and things, but there never appeared to be a real like a push, an official push from Salesforce saying, these are the community things that happen, right? I don't know how many customers must go to that event and come away not knowing that there might be a local user group to them, or not knowing that there's these national conferences in all sorts of countries around the world. And so I jumped at the chance to say, yeah, I'll chat to Zara and I'll say, do you know you should go and speak at events? You should go and talk at these things. You should get involved. You're going to meet incredible people if you do these things. You're going to learn loads, and maybe you'll meet. I mean, the events I've been to, I've met people that now work for us. I've met people that we have worked for. I've met people who are really good friends of mine all through these things, and so I couldn't push it more. But yeah, I went down, and my golden hoodie is just out of shot over here. I should check it. I can grab it quickly.
Yeah, get it on. It's one of those things when Todd says about like meeting people. There we go. Look at that beautiful golden hoodie.
Look at the shine.
Look at the shine. Well, no, it's a very, very well deserved golden hoodie. So congratulations on that again. And
thank you.
Really, definitely well deserved. And it's funny when, so as an interesting aside story, I mentioned earlier on like showing my wife this T-shirt, and so my wife Amanda works in the Salesforce space, and a few years back, she was saying she was working in London on a professional services contract, and she was saying she'd gone out for some drinks after work, and it had been sort of after a developer group, and this group had ended up bumping into another group from the developer group or whatever. Okay. And she said I was sat, sort of talking to someone, and she said, oh, they mentioned you, as in me. And she said, oh, yeah. They said, oh, do you know him? And she was like, yeah, he's my partner. And the kind of interesting thing that ties all this together is that to this day, we don't know whether it was you or your brother Justin that she was chatting to.
Oh yeah, we have been mistaken in the past. We do look quite similar. He is older than me, which makes me feel bad that people think we look so alike. But we're easily distinguishable because he's about 2 inches shorter.
They were sat down, so it was one of these things. She was, I was chatting to this guy the other day, and we couldn't remember whether it was you or Justin, because it was before you had your. I don't think you had a beard even. So it was one of those. No, I was trying to be like, what are these distinguishing features? And I was like, sort of, slightly red hair. Yep. Like, and then it was just like it's one of the two, and I don't know which one. So one of you two at one point, sort of said to my now wife, Do you know this guy? Thankfully, it seemed it was positive, not like, do you know this guy?
Oh, that would be me then. Absolutely.
Yeah. If it was just slagging me off, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good story.
It's really, really random. It is quite funny. So the golden hoodie, the video is great, because in the video as well, or the follow-up video, because they did a separate golden hoodie video, didn't they, where we have you skateboarding in your golden hoodie.
Yeah.
So, tell us. So the skateboarding thing is you and I have spoken about before over a drink or two. So the two things are, number one, how nervous were you about falling over wearing the golden hoodie and tearing it while skateboarding? And then number two is, tell us just about the skateboarding and how you got into it, because I think this is just a really kind of cool and interesting story. And yeah,
I mean, it's a lovely way to put it, that it's a cool and interesting story. I kind of looked at it like, how did I get into it? Well, I used to roller skate a lot. I used to play roller hockey at quite a high level, and then I broke myself in a series of car crashes, and then didn't really play or skate anymore. And we moved down to Broadstairs, and there's an amazing skate park down the road, just down the road from us, and they have a climbing wall and all this sort of bits and pieces. And my daughter just said to me, "Do you think we could go skateboarding?" And I was like, "Yes, yeah." It's the kind of thing I wish I'd done when I was 12, right? And we went down there for like a family lesson and stuff, and I fell over so many times. I mean, it's probably 30 times in like an hour lesson. I was slamming on my backside, and if people want to look up on the internet, in fact, I don't know if it's on the official Salesforce one, but there's one of them where I fall over and there's like 20 seconds of just cuts of me slamming into the ground. But I enjoyed it so much, like the personal challenge, because I guess because I found it hard. It was a hard thing to do. But I could see around me people were doing things better, and I was like, right, this is where I want to get to. And so I did it with my daughter for like a 5-week course. And I said to her at the end, "Oh, do you want to do the next course?" She said, "Actually, I'm okay, I think." Then she goes, "Oh, I'd like to do horse riding." And I'm like, that's way more expensive than skateboarding. But she didn't want to come back skateboarding. But I was like, I just enjoyed it. And I remember going in the first time I went by myself, like without my daughter by my side. And I looked around and I was like, oh my God, like, that, like the imposter syndrome kicked straight back in. I was like, oh crap, look at me. Because skateboarding is all kind of, it appeared to be very cliquey. There were groups of kids up here chatting to each other and joking. There were some really good blokes over there doing some amazing stuff, all chatting and joking. And then there was me. And I was like, I'm just going to get in everyone's way. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll get through. But that almost within the first 5 minutes, I realized that my perceptions as an outsider coming in, seeing all this, was completely wrong. I was there, and as soon as I had achieved the small thing I was trying to achieve, I could hear like people banging their boards in other parts of the park, and they'd been watching me attempting this thing over and over again. And then when I achieved it, they were like banging it again. Yeah, good man, you're making progress. And I realized it's everybody there was like, none of them would get any benefit from me being rubbish. What they gained from me achieving my tricks was that I could then maybe not crash into them, and then maybe some point I could show them a trick or whatever. And that came around. So in fact, not too long after I started, I'd been practicing this one trick, and a guy came up that I thought was really good, and he said to me, "What are you doing there?" And I said, "Oh, I'm trying to do a 5-0." And he goes, "I've never done one. How do you do it?" And I was like, "Okay." So I spent 20 minutes with this guy teaching him something that he could clearly do if he'd even thought about it, but hadn't done. And it was it's a really good counseling session. Like, I go down, I chat with lots of, I guess, more mature skaters. We talk a lot about how much our knees hurt, and that kind of thing. But it was really quite funny. This whole kind of walking in and going, "Oh my God, I've got this imposter syndrome. I don't know anything." It took me right back to my first developer meetup. I went down, I don't know anything about Salesforce, and there were all these people in groups. But everyone was like, "Yeah, cool, come and get involved." And now it's going on. I mean, I'm definitely not good. I was down skating this morning actually, and I managed a few tricks. I didn't fall, so that was a positive. Yeah, it's brilliant fun. Skateboarding is amazing. Really, really love it. I guess it's kind of like, if you hit a midlife crisis and can't afford a Harley Davidson, then skateboarding is a good.
Yeah, if you can afford 4 wheels with a big engine, you can just afford the 4 wheels, right?
Yeah. It's much cheaper.
So I'll talk about one of the many reasons I think that's such an interesting and amazing story in a second. But I have to. So I spent years as a teenager and now more time than I'd like to share as a grown adult playing Tony Hawk's games. So
Yeah.
what's the biggest trick you can do? What's like Todd's?
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting you to say a 900 here, but like, what can Todd do that's like,
I mean, in fact, the language and the jargon has been one of the hardest things with skateboarding. Because I'm like, oh my God,
yeah,
I ask people, how do you do that thing where your back foot is doing this up there and that? And they're going, oh yeah, that's I don't know, whatever. What's my best trick though? I guess the hardest thing, I wish I had my skateboard. I've drawn on my deck in, what are they called, those pens?
like chalk pens
Yeah, kind of like that. And so I've got like a
or
kind of checklist
Sharpies.
of tricks that
Yeah.
I want to try, and I tick them off
Hmm.
when I can do them
Oh,
consistently.
cool.
Currently, what I'm learning is a 5-0 stall and a
Okay.
blunt. Got my little tech deck here on my thing.
There we go.
So for
So
those who listen, doesn't really transfer.
this is going to be terrible radio for a second, but yeah. So,
So
I'll narrate as you go up. So you go up
this is
the
my quarter
slope.
pipe. Okay, I've got a quarter
Yep.
pipe here, and I'm coming up to the quarter pipe. I'm going up straight, and I'm turning, but I'm keeping up on just the back two wheels, and I'm coming back in. That's a 5-0.
Okay.
And then a blunt is where I go up, and then I hook up like this on the back wheels, and then drop in. Not great
Oh, cool.
listening, but I mean, yeah, I can't ollie, I can't kickflip. Those are the tricks I should probably. That's what the cool kids do. But
You can do far more with a skateboard than I can. It's no, it's one of my favorite stories. And I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to watching the skateboarding at the Olympics because I think it's one of those things that watching it and knowing the speed they're doing it at and like thinking about it and balance is just incredible. But I love the story more generally because it is a fantastic story of you putting yourself out there and doing things that are uncomfortable and aren't in your wheelhouse and comfort. And I think as you and I were joking about earlier on at the start here, we Brits can often underplay things and are not very comfortable talking about our own achievements in any way, shape, or form. But equally, kind of, Todd and I were talking about North Africa Dreaming earlier on, where he was saying one of the things he loved is at the end of it how there's a bit of music and everyone sort of got up and started dancing. We were joking, saying that if you did that at London's Calling, there would just be a lot of sort of awkward British people stood around nervously waiting for the music to stop. But and I think that the fact that you've done that, and the fact you're telling the story, you're sharing videos of yourself falling on your backside and doing it is really just it's a great thing to see and hear and to kind of remind people that you've got to put yourself out there and try new things. And more importantly, that bit you said there about going in and trying something and people not judging you for it. Like you can have that preconception. I'm trying to think of an example that I've got myself recently, but like a simple one of like I recently signed up for a gym near me and like was going in there and I've done a little bit of like running a 5K every couple of times a week for a few months, but so I go in and actually move some heavy in inverted commas weight around, but move something with some metal around, and
yeah,
immediately had that thing of there was a guy stood there who was built like a shed, and sort of he's there racking up 8 or 9 plates and like was just doing it, and then I was doing something else and he moved out of the way and I was like, oh, are you done? Because he was like, oh yeah, that's fine. He's like, do you want me to spot you? Do you want? And he was just super engaging and friendly about it. And I was half expecting him to laugh at me and say like, why are you? And it's all in your own head, isn't it? Yeah, there's no. And he was.
It's bizarre. Why we think like this? I don't know. I mean, because you would never be in a position where you'd like if you were the other chap. There's zero benefit from you being anything but supportive. And as humans, that we all I just want people to be happy, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's funny that you automatically. I think our brains. There's something definitely hardwired in I think it's called kind of like a survival mode thing, maybe where people just kind of worry about it. But yeah, I love. Yeah, I remember you and I talking at London's Calling 2-3 years ago. That was probably the first one after COVID, talking about the skateboarding over a couple of beers, and it was, it's one of the things I loved hearing about then, love hearing about now. So it's a fantastic thing, and very, very. I don't want to say the word proud. That sounds weird, but sort of. I think it's cool, and I'm proud's the best one I can come up with at short notice. So it's a fantastic story. So all power to you, Todd, for doing it.
Oh, take that. Cheers, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's and when you're finally up there at the X Games, you'll have to send us a video. Remember your friends back there. You wear a Shirtforce t-shirt at the X Games, and then you'll be.
That would, that would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? But I mean, they'd asked me to, Salesforce had asked me to skate into the world tour when I got the gold hoodie, and I was like, it's going to be carpeted on the floor, right? I was like, I'm worried about just tripping up walking, let alone coming off a skateboard. So I did a hard pass on that.
I love the idea of someone asking that, and then there being this health and safety discussion of no, let's not.
Yeah, the insurance people say no.
Oh, definitely. So we've had a good long chat here. So I think we've talked a lot about all the various different things you're involved in, and the incredible ways in which you've kind of embraced the ecosystem, enhanced it, and kind of helped spread the love of it. So kind of what's next? Is there more madness and excitement in the pipeline, or the half pipeline, shall we say?
What's next? I guess. Well, I mean, we're in full London's Calling 2024 organising, so that's happening. It's kind of attending conference season for me as well. I'm off to Prague for Czech Dreaming next month, which, if anyone hasn't been, they fancy going to Prague. It's another incredible conference. I'll be heading off to Berlin for the Versinode Hana, which is their first year. I think it's the end of I think it's the end of May. I don't know. So excited about that. I've never been to a conference in the US. I'd quite like to do that. Maybe.
Really, you've never been to Dreamforce or anything?
No.
There is a Todd Halfpenny fact I didn't know.
No, I know. It's like he hasn't got his PD1. He hasn't been to Dreamforce. The guy's a fraud.
But, we were talking about Dreamforce just before we started recording, and like it is an event like no other. I was saying this to someone the other day, who is in like it was something to do around my messaging app on the App Exchange, and kind of an external partner for that. And they were like, "Oh, have you ever been to Dreamforce? Because I hear about how big it is." And I was like, "Yeah." And it's interesting how even outside the ecosystem now, Salesforce, like Dreamforce, is known as this mega event. Like, and it's a crazy number of people. So I would recommend it. I've never been to Trailblazer DX or Trailhead DX or whatever I think it's Trailblazer DX as it's now called. So I do have that on my list, but Dreamforce is definitely worth a go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that TDX would be the one. If I wanted to choose one, that would be the one I choose to go through. I think for more, I mean, obviously to go and experience Dreamforce would be amazing, but I think I'd probably get more out of TDX from the techie point of view for me. But yeah, maybe that. What else is there? I don't know really. More t-shirts, the calendar, Mr. February. I'm now going to start seeing all these posts from you on anytime I'm mentioned on LinkedIn or Twitter, it's Mr. February coming out there. I mean, I don't know why I picked Feb. That's not your birthday.
It's not. It's the shortest month of the year, I've noticed. So people have less time to look at me. I'm assuming it's either that or Valentine's Day, and you're just thinking of
that's what it is. It's for Valentine's Day. Yeah. Here's what you could have won, ladies or men, right?
If there's anything that's going to kill the romance on Valentine's Day, here I am.
I will not hear a word of this.
No. So first, I mean, thank you, Todd, so much for coming and talking today and sharing all your stories, all your interesting insights. There's a bunch of stuff about you I've learned that I can't wait until we get to sit down somewhere in a dark corner and talk about Erlang.
Yeah.
I genuinely am looking forward to that, and just watching us sort of retreat deeper and deeper into sort of the
Oh,
madness of concurrent programming. But I suppose one of the things I always ask kind of people that I have a chat with is if they had one kind of key tip, key takeaway, or top tip that they would give to people in the Salesforce ecosystem. I mean, from the kind of the two ones that really kind of, or I'm going to say the biggest one that I think I can take away from the general thread of this discussion, aside from me wanting to have a picture of me on a calendar, is which is, yeah, maybe that's just a personal thing. Who knows? Is just the power of kind of opening yourself up and saying yes. If you go to things, and if you walk if you walk into a room with open arms and say yes to people and yes to things, then your opportunities grow. Doors doors don't open if you don't knock on them, I suppose, would be a kind of way of doing it. So that would be something that I've definitely learned, and kind of had reiterated. It's something that I try and do myself anyway. But I think you really kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? You really bring that idea to life, and kind of you walk the talk in that. There's a definite word that is in the back of my mind that as soon as I turn this recording off in a minute, I'm going to think of embody. There we go. You
embody.
really embody that idea.
I was
It's
I was so far from that in my head. I was like, I can't think of what Paul's trying to get to. But
it's amazing, like how your brain just kind of goes. I mean, embody's not even a strange word. It's a really common word. I don't know why my brain couldn't think. You really embody that ethos and that kind of spirit. So, if you had one top tip or takeaway to give to people, what would it be?
I think, well, firstly, you should all visit shirtforce.org and end up looking as cool as us do, right? Buy a t-shirt or two and look cool and give back. But I think, in seriousness, I think you hit the nail on the head there. For me, the return on the investment of whether it's having the confidence to go to an event like by yourself, or asking a colleague to go to an event with you, or if you've been to events, having that kind of that willingness to take the next step and say, do you know what, maybe this stuff I've been reading up and playing with now, maybe the people here will be interested in that, and putting yourself forward to speak and share those experiences. All of that, getting involved in the community. And I don't want to be kind of standing here saying, got to drink all the Kool-Aid, you got to do all this stuff, right? From a very personal point of view, these places are safe spaces where if you every pence you invest of yourself in it, you're going to get a quid back in feeling better, in meeting people, whether you're trying to grow your network for any reason, whether you're looking for a new job, whether you're looking to hire, whether you're looking just to learn, whether you're just wanting to be out of the house, for whatever reason, the spaces are there. And the way I always look at it is, I know lots of people get like, I don't know if you've ever done a best man speech. It's a very daunting thing to do a best man speech, but actually, the way I look at it is, it's one of the easiest things to ever do, right? Because nobody in that room wants you to cock up, to make a mess of it, right? Everybody wants you to do the most amazing job in the entire world, because that's only going to make everything better. And that's exactly how I feel about the getting involved with the community. Is no one in that space is looking to push you down. Everybody there is there to bring you up, knowing that if they bring you up, you might be bringing them up, and all of that. So that would be the takeaway from me. If I mean, obviously, I'd like to say it with about 20 less sentences, because I ramble on, but that was the.
No, it's a fantastic takeaway, and I like the kind of analogy to a best man speech. The only thing I will say is, for international listeners, a quid is a pound. So when Todd said, if you put a penny in, you get a quid back, it means if you put 1 penny in, you'll get 100 back. Just because there's two British people talking here, so inevitably we start going to Britishisms, and we'll as soon as we finish this recording, we'll start talking about the weather and cups of tea.
Exactly. But I have heard, you know, it's quite funny in the to go back for the video they put together for me for the world tour in London. I mentioned the word squiffy. I said things have gone a bit squiffy, and I've had so many people like from right across the world saying, "Man, I love the word squiffy. I'm going to use it more every day." Right. So yeah, use a quid, use squiffy. Yeah, talk to the Brits about it.
There you go. It's follow Todd on all channels for your fun British words to use in daily life. Well, no, thank you once again, Todd. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed the chat. I'm so glad we got to have you on there. And as I say, you were the first person I thought of. So thank you once again. In the show notes, there'll be links to Shirtforce, to all of the things we've mentioned, and as well to where you can find Todd. So once again, thank you very much, Todd.
Oh, pleasure is absolutely all mine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.